Get on the boat. Richard, what is going to happen to our child? Now our child is in the hand of the Lord. After a very long day, Vanessa returned to the university dormitory. She is a sophomore at the BII University in New Haven, Connecticut, and shares her dorm with a roommate. She's only 20, but she has been engaged to her father's boss's son, Hugo, for the past 3 years. Even though she didn't have any say for this marriage, Vanessa is happy. It was Mr. Charles Bush, her father's boss and future father-in-law, who paid for her education and all of the needs. 2 days ago, her father told her the next month on her 21st birthday, she would be married to Hugo. As usual, Vanessa finished her nightly routine and soon fell asleep. But sometime around midnight, she woke up to a noise. Vanessa was panicked seeing a man climb in through her window. She jumped out of bed, about to scream, "Help!" when the man pointed his gun at her. "Don't make any noise. You will do as I say." Hearing Vanessa, Lucille rushed to see what happened. But as soon as she barged into her room, she froze seeing the man holding Vanessa at gunpoint. "You make one noise, and I'll shoot." That night, Vanessa was kidnapped from her dorm room. When news reached the Bush family, Hugo was furious. "I'm gonna take her life. She had only one job, to keep an eye on her." "Mr. Bush, what is going to happen to my daughter? Who can this be?" "Bring her in." Lucille Jones, Vanessa's roommate, or actually, one of the Bush's spies, was brought in as she broke down and began pleading. "Please, forgive me. I heard her scream and I went to help her, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see his face. He was wearing a mask and he had a gun. If I did anything, he would have shot her." Hugo banged on the table in rage. Who could dare mess with the Bush family? It must have been one of our rivals. All of a sudden, one of the men came in with a parcel. "Boss, this package just arrived. It's labeled for Hugo." Curious, Hugo opened the box. Inside was a radio phone, a cassette, and a small jewelry box. "What is this?" Hugo opened the jewelry box, shocked by what he saw. No, it can't be. Inside was a finger, and on it was the very same engagement ring he had given Vanessa. "Play the cassette." Hugo anxiously waited as the video played. In a dark, broken-down room, there was a cage, Vanessa was chained in a horrible condition. A stained bandage on her finger. There was filth all around her, dog food placed in front of her as she cowered to the corner. Seeing the footage, Hugo threw down the TV, and Peter sat down holding his head. "Don't worry, Peter, we'll find her." Suddenly, the men all heard a beeping sound from the radio phone. Hugo immediately answered it. "You lowlife, let me just find you. I'll take your life." The voice on the other end chuckled.
"Oh, you will kill me? Then maybe I should kill your love before you get to me."
"No, don't do anything to her. Why are you doing this? Who are you working for?"
Think of me as a freelancer.
"What do you want?"
What anybody would want. Money.
"How much?"
I want it in gold. 15 pounds.
"Where?"
41 degrees, 20 minutes, 53.7 seconds, north. 73 degrees, 7 minutes, 45.3 seconds west.
Hugo's men immediately mapped out the location. "Boss, it's in the middle of the river."
Yes, bring it and drop it in the water tomorrow, 6 p.m.
"When will you hand her over?"
Once I get the gold, I'll pack her in one piece and parcel her to you. And if you get the police involved, I'll feed your fiancée to the dogs."
"Don't you dare. Perhaps I'll feast on her first." With that, the signal abruptly cut off. "Boss, what are we going to do? We can't risk her life. No one is going to harm my daughter-in-law for some gold. Take it and go drop it there, and keep some men guard to check who picks it up." So, the next day, Hugo went to drop off the gold deep into the forest along the river. "Have you spotted anyone?" "No, boss, no one." Bush's men were stalled out in the woods by the river, but no person or boat came to the location to pick up the gold. "Boss, the bag isn't here." Jackpot. "Dad, what are we going to do? It's been 3 days, there's no call, no signal." "Hugo, stay calm. I'll find a way. I called for a man. His name is Paul. He's an expert. He can track down the location." "We won't be able to trace the specific location from this radio phone, but I have a device. With it, we can detect which direction the signal is coming from. If we follow it, we can estimate the region of the call." With luck, Paul was able to narrow down the location of the signal. Far out in the woods by the river. "Bingo. We have to leave right now." Hugo and Paul drove out, searching around the location until finally they spotted a small broken-down house. "He's probably here." "Boss, what is going to happen to my daughter? How will we find her?" "Don't worry, Peter. I brought in a hacker. Hugo went out with him to find the location." Charles suddenly received a call. "Dad, I found a house in the woods here. According to Paul's calculations, the signal was in this area, and this is the only house in a 10-mile radius. I'll need backup." "They're on their way." "Good news, Peter. They found the location." When backup finally arrived, Hugo and his men prepared to ambush the house. Reaching there, Hugo slowly broke the handle of the door. and stepped in. It was damp and putrid. As soon as he walked into one of the rooms, he suddenly woke up to 2 dogs, who immediately charged at him. Hearing the commotion, his men pulled fire on the animals. Hugo spotted the cage. To the corner of Vanessa, weak as she tried to get up. "Don't worry, I'll free you." No, don't come near me. He will kill me." Hugo rushed closer to Vanessa to see a collar around her neck. Without listening to her, he tried breaking open the cage. And at once, Vanessa screamed out as she was shocked. Hugo was frightened to see her shake on the ground. "Stop it! Stop it!" he yelled as he stepped back. That's when a man stepped out from the shadows. He held a remote in his hands as he smirked. "Drop your guns, or she won't be alive. The speed of electrons are much faster than the speed of your bullets." The men all looked at Hugo as he threw his gun down, and so did they. Good. The man then opened the cage and yanked Vanessa out, pushing her up the stairs. Hugo and his men immediately took their guns and followed until they reached the rooftop. The man stood there holding Vanessa by the edge. "One wrong move, and I'll throw her down." "No, don't. 2 of your dogs killed my dogs. Now it's time for payback. Finish them." "What?" "Do it, or I will." Without giving any thought, Hugo turned his gun on his own men. "No, boss, we were only trying to keep you safe." But Hugo fired. With blood splattered on his face, Hugo looked at the man in desperation. "You got what you wanted. Now let her go." But the man chuckled. "You guys were trying to save him? You saw what your life is worth to him?" He turned to Vanessa. "Do you know how to swim?" "No, I don't." "Great. Let's see if you die from electrocution first, or drown first." With that, he threw Vanessa into the water, before he himself jumped off the building. "No!" Hugo immediately ran after to see the man ride off on his boat. "Go search for her!" His men searched the river for hours that night, but couldn't find Vanessa and hopelessly had to return. The following day, when Charles, Hugo, and Peter were discussing their next plans, they suddenly got a visitor. "Boss, 2 officers are here. Give them some money and send them off." "Boss, they aren't police officers. They're federal agents. They don't work for us, and they have warrants." Hugo was panicked when the officers barged in and arrested him. "You're under arrest, Mr. Hugo Bush, on charges of murder of your 2 men. We have recorded footage." "Dad, don't let them take me." "Don't worry, son. I'll get the best lawyers. Nothing will happen to you." Mr. Charles Bush was unable to hold back his son's arrest. Hugo was taken into custody, and during the interrogation, he broke down. Hugo had a record of substance abuse and was mentally unstable. He revealed all information on the Bush syndicate, businesses, and everything Charles Bush had been involved in. And in the court case that followed, Charles Bush was sentenced to prison, and his son detained at a medical facility due to his instability. few days into serving time, another visitor came to meet Charles Bush at the prison. He was shocked to see his daughter-in-law, Vanessa. "Vanessa, my child, you're alive. Hugo has gone crazy for you." "No, Mr. Charles. He was always crazy." Vanessa smirked, taking off her bandage. "Your finger?" That night, when Vanessa's father, Peter, had come to inform her about the marriage, he couldn't bear the guilt and told Vanessa everything. "Vanessa, the death of your parents was no mere accident. Many years ago, I introduced your father Richard to Mr. Charles Bush for his treatment, and he became the family physician. At the time, Hugo's condition was getting worse, but through your father's treatment, he improved a lot. But one day, Hugo saw you, and he wanted you. So Mr. Bush asked your father for your hand in marriage for Hugo. Richard, Hugo is my only son, and he loves your daughter. Perhaps if they marry, he will get better. But my daughter is only 12 and Hugo is 26, and he's not even sane." At the time, Charles hadn't said anything more to your father, but he was offended by what he said. And when Hugo's health got better, Mr. Bush sent your father on a yacht vacation as a gift. But it was there he ordered for your parents to be killed. They were thrown off the yacht into shark-infested waters. After your parents' death, Mr. Bush ordered me to take your guardianship and adopt you. And as for Hugo, Charles made a deal with him. "You can have her if you stop taking those substances." "I don't want to have her. I want to marry her." All these years, Mr. Bush kept up an act with you, that he cared for you. He arranged for your education and brought up. And when you turned 17, he got you engaged to Hugo. Vanessa, I know Hugo has some problems, but he truly loves you. He's my only son, the heir to all my property, and I believe if he marries you, you can help him get better. That night, when Vanessa discovered the truth, she was devastated. She felt so betrayed and trapped. She realized there was no way out of this. So she decided to take her life. "No, stop, don't!" But that's when Daniel stopped her. Daniel, too, was a student at BII. Though Vanessa had never given him much attention, deep down inside, he loved her and stalked her. His dorm was in the opposite building from where he would oftentimes watch her. News of Vanessa's marriage had spread throughout the campus, and when it got to Daniel, he was shattered. And that night, he decided he would confess his love to her. So he sneaked into the girls' dormitory and planned to break into her room. But that's when he found her trying to take her own life. "No, stop, don't!" "I can't live like this anymore." That night, Vanessa told Daniel everything. "After all these years, I found Mr. Bush killed my parents for me, so he can marry me to his sick son. Don't worry, your parents will get their justice, and you will get your justice. And they will get what they deserve. Just do as I say. Trust me, My criminal mind is much superior than theirs. But how did you know I was about to? I sort of have feelings for you, and I've sort of been stalking you. When I heard about your marriage, I thought I would confess my love, but when I came here, I saw you through the keyhole and barged in. It was from then that Vanessa and Daniel planned her revenge. It was Daniel who kidnapped Vanessa, who trapped her in the cage, and threatened her with his dogs. Except, it was all an act that Vanessa perfectly pulled off. They had Hugo convinced, but none of this would have been possible without the assistance of Mr. Peter. The day when Hugo had discovered the location of their hideout, Mr. Peter informed Daniel. They found your location, they're on their way. No problem. That night, Daniel and Vanessa trapped Hugo into taking the life of 2 of his men, which they secretly recorded and sent to the federal agency, as the police department worked for the Bush. Finally, they got both father and son behind bars. Vanessa stared at Mr. Bush. You killed my parents so I could rot for a lifetime with your sick son. And now, your sick son will be locked in that asylum, and you will rot in jail till you die.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.